Good morning, it's Lauren, and I'm back again for another morning session with you all. I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to be taking frequent sips of my coffee because it's early. And yeah, let's just dive right in. So I'm going to start off with some of the Tatcha Silk Canvas, the original, and prime my face this way. So today I have kind of a vision. I'm kind of playing, but I have a vision of what I want to create, which is a very fresh, glowy skin. And on my eyes, I want to do like a hot pink liner, a very dramatic angled shape. And I want to do like a very bright, shimmery glitter. Yeah, I'm feeling like spring, okay? It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day here in California. Something kind of interesting is like after living here for a couple of years, I really appreciate springtime now more than I used to. It's just so beautiful and there's so many flowers, and I used to really love fall as my favorite season, and I think that's changing. I love spring here, and we're about to move, of course. I think I'll probably love spring in Colorado too. So now I'm taking the Chantecaille Future Skin. My shade is Vanilla, and I'm gonna buff this in. This is like such a pretty, kind of like sheer to medium coverage. You're gonna notice it doesn't have like the most coverage, but it does cut down any redness you may have in your face. Drag a little under my eyes, not too much. So I prepped my skin this morning with my Bella Aura Hydra Revive and with my La Roche Posay Anthelios Sun Serum, which I mentioned in my last video. I really, really love that sunscreen. And I'm sure some of you are wondering, like, that's it? That's all you put on your face? Yeah, I don't really, I don't have a crazy skincare routine most of the time. I stick with like, usually like 2 to 4 products max. I don't really do a ton. I find that my skin is so much happier if I don't. So like even this morning, like I didn't use a cleanser this morning. Most mornings I don't. I use a cleanser predominantly at night when I'm breaking down makeup and getting the day off of my face. But honestly, in the morning, I feel like my skin is just, it's just got the products on from last night that I put on. And so I just use like a baby washcloth because they have a really fine texture. And I just use cool water and wipe my face. That's kind of it. Yeah, my face and I, we've been through some rough times. My skin like had a hardcore rebellious period because I was a judge like on a panel trying a bunch of different products, and my skin freaked out. And like I'm pretty sure that I think I am allergic to some essential oils and products, because that's when it started happening, was when I was trying a bunch of things with essential oils in them. And lately I've been like slowly testing things with essential oils, and I haven't had any reactions yet. It's been a long time since I've had like a major like rashy flare on my face. Hello, baby hairs. My hair is like doing this really interesting thing now where, I don't know, it's like I'm kind of like embracing my natural texture. My hair changed a bunch whenever I was pregnant, and now it's like more wavy, I guess. My daughter has ringlets. They're the cutest things ever. And my hair actually did a lot better before I bleached it a whole bunch. I've kind of noticed like after bleaching it, my wave is a little wimpy. I'm working it out. I'm figuring out what works for me in this way, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. Okay, so that is the Rare Beauty Concealer, the shade 210N. And this concealer is interesting because it's not like the heaviest coverage concealer, but it has like a really beautiful luminous finish. And so that totally fits with what I'm going for today. Honestly, there's a few spots that like when I use this concealer, I almost have to like double layer to try to build up to the level of coverage that I want. It's kind of one of those concealers that like I like it. I don't know that I would repurchase it. It was actually one of those things too that was also sent to me via Influencer, which is really fun, by the way. If you ever just have some time to kill and you like have a bunch of products and you can sit and write out reviews, sometimes they will send you boxes of products like for new launches and stuff. And so they actually sent me a box of Rare Beauty products after I had already purchased a bunch of Rare Beauty to review. And the concealer was one of the products in there that I hadn't tried on my own. So it was kind of nice that they sent it to me. But yeah, I don't know that I love the concealer. What's interesting though, so with Rare Beauty, their concealer is more like sheer and luminous, and then their foundation is like hardcore coverage, like more coverage than their concealer, and it's not nearly as radiant. It's more of like a satin matte kind of finish. It's the most bizarre thing. I don't know why they chose to do it that way, but you know, whatever. I would definitely repurchase their foundation, and I've actually thought a bit about getting some more just because it is a really, really nice coverage, and it's so easy and fast. I don't need a concealer when I use it. And unfortunately, my shade right now is a bit too dark for me. I got a lot of sun last year. Like when the pandemic first hit, I think I spent every afternoon outside, like just sunning myself. And I know, again, some of you are probably screaming at your screen, like you need to wear more sunscreen, you need to not spend time in the sun, blah, blah, blah. You know what? It was my happy place. And that's where I went when things kind of went crazy around the world. All right, not bad. I'm gonna build up a little bit there just because it's a little bit darker and it has a little more pigmentation than other areas on my face right now. We're just gonna very lightly kind of pat and tap. It also has a little texture. Let me see if I can get that off of there. Sometimes, like as pimples dry out and stuff, they kind of crust and flake, right? And so sometimes like it's enough that you can just kind of lightly tug and see if that skin will just come off. Sometimes it's gonna, you know, still be attached and not want to do that. So I always do that kind of cautiously, because if you irritate a pimple when you're trying to put on your makeup, a lot of times they kind of like ooze like that plasma, or I'm not really entirely sure what it is, but it's like a clear liquid that will like ooze and ooze and ooze forever, and you won't be able to cover it with anything until it dries out. So I always do that kind of cautiously. So now I'm going to make sure that there's not any lines underneath my eyes. I'll probably have to do that again. So since I'm doing a very like pink bright eye, I'm kind of torn between what color I want to use on my cheeks, because I don't want it to also be pink, because then it's just like a lot of pink and really intense. So what I think I'm going to do is do a little bit of the Westman Atelier in Chouchette, and just kind of pop that here. I really love this color, by the way. It's like a very pretty kind of pinky nude shade. I'm just going to take my same brush that I used for my foundation, since I don't want this blush to be like the focal point. I'm fine if a little bit of that foundation mixes in and kind of tones it down. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a, you know, a bright eyeshadow that I'm mixing with something else that's going to get real muddy. It's just going to give me a very soft effect. I love how that blends out though. It's so pretty. Do just a little bit more. My other contender for blush was going to be the Danessa Myricks in Vision Blush in Bread and Butter. I love that color. It's so beautiful, and her products are amazing. Like whenever she launched in Sephora, I was so excited, because it's just one of those brands, like I feel like it's still somewhat under the radar, and more people should try it out, because it's like, it's good stuff. Okay. Very, very soft, not doing anything too heavy. So what I'm going to do now at this point, I'm going to check under my eyes again, see if there's any creasing. There's a little tiny bit of creasing. That is the other thing with the Rare Beauty. It's like, it doesn't crease as bad as some luminous formulas, but it does crease up on me under my eyes if I don't set it. So before I do, I have to really make sure to work out any little lines that have formed in the product. So I'm going to take the M.A.C Mineralize Skin Finish in Medium Plus. Just going to pop that under here. I like this one because it has a very, very natural looking finish. It's not super matte, and it just looks really nice. And you'll notice I'm kind of sticking to my T-zone because I don't want to kill the luminosity on my face. And over this, you'll notice I'm not wiping a bunch because I don't want to disturb that product underneath. I really just want to set it. So I'm gonna drag a little bit of this just kind of over my brow bone because that's where things tend to move around with my mascara. I may end up even adding a little bit more of that blush. I'm gonna wait until the end though because I might not need it. So now I'm gonna go and take my Westman Atelier bronzer, the butter bronzer, with a very large fluffy brush. It's a Cuyudo. And I just want to I'm just gonna tap it first because I don't wanna have a big streak of pigment. And very lightly kind of frame the face. Very light touch, nothing too heavy. Again, I want this to be a very light, glowy, kind of spring look. I'm gonna go around the brows. Think about like where the sun would naturally kind of hit. The often neglected area of our face. I always try to make sure to get right in there. Because it really does, I mean, even though my hair covers some of it now, it really does make a difference when you have your hair pulled back and you can really see that hairline. Make sure that product that you're wearing, whatever it is really worked in. Okay, and always a little bit kind of right here in this little patch under the ears. I always like to take a little bit of product because that area tends to be a little lighter on me because I don't get a lot of sun there, I guess. All right, and for good measure, I always like to kind of go down on the collarbones too, because that's somewhere that the sun would actually hit me. I'm gonna drag that down. So before I jump to eyes, I'm gonna use a little bit of the Merit highlighting stick. I think these are so natural and so pretty. I really love a more natural looking highlight, something that it just kind of like, it's just like a little beam of radiance. I don't really want like a shimmery highlight most of the time. And this is just the most soft, illuminated kind of glass skin effect. And this is honestly, I would say, probably one of my favorite products that Merit launched. It just has worked the best for me. I also really like their minimalist stick, which I need to bust out and play with more for a video. I really loved their skin products. I was not as crazy about their mascara, and the brow product was kind of forgettable, and I'm trying to just use it up because it just doesn't have the hold that I need. So now that I've got that, I'm really nice and luminous and fresh. Everything's evened out. I'm going to use the M.A.C Painterly Paint Pot, prime my eyes, and once we prime, I'm going to create my initial shape with a very small liner brush and the Uoma Carnival palette, the shade Rio. And I'm just going to create that shape. I'm going to add my shimmery glitter, and then I may have to go back over that line again just to make sure that we don't have any glitter particles that are like covering up the liner. So let me see, I'm going to take a very small M.A.C 209 brush, and I'm actually going to very lightly spray it with a setting spray. This is just e.l.f. Stay All Night. It's just not nothing fancy, but just very lightly wet the brush. Gonna get all this excess product off. And when you do this and you're gonna dip it into a palette, I always stick to the very edges when my brush is wet like this, whether it's water or a setting spray, because you don't want to ruin the pan of your palette. Sometimes when you use anything like that and then you dip it into your palette, it almost creates like that hard like shell over your shadows, and then it like ruins them and you can't use them anymore. So brush is nice and bright. I'm gonna actually just test this on my hand to make sure it's gonna do what I want. And that should do it. That should do it. I am gonna blow it off though, because there is a little bit of pigment that's kind of falling off of this brush. And normally that doesn't happen with these, but because I think it's a smaller brush, it is doing that. So what I'm gonna do, let's go real close. And like I said, we're gonna go real dramatic with this. So I'm gonna continue to kind of build off of this initial line, and we'll repeat it on the other side. So we have our base shape. I was just playing on my hand, trying to kind of gather where I want to go next, because I do want to do that bright glittery shimmer, but I'm also debating, do I want to add in a little tiny bit of purple? So what I do a lot of times, if I'm kind of unsure of color combinations or how I want to work things, I will put them together on my hand and kind of just see how they play together, let them sit together for a minute. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my Roen 1111 and the lightest shade called Situation. I'm going to take my pinky. I'm debating on how I want to do this. And I love this shade because it is so glittery. So what I'm going to do, start dropping it in without touching where that liner is specifically. Kind of arc this up. I almost want it to be like a starburst from the inner corner of my eye. You can see how that light's catching it. It's really pretty. Kind of more concentrated in that corner and then dragging outward and diffusing it a bit. I like that because it keeps the focus on the liner, but it also adds this extra dimension to the look. Cool. And so because I didn't have too much issue with my glitter touching over the liner, I'm just going to drag it just on the very inner corners. You'll also notice I started kind of like over the center of my eye and just slightly extended it there, but I really wanted to keep the focus up and out. So now, do I want to add the purple? Yeah, I do. So I'm going to take my liner brush, I'm going to swirl it and try to get off as much of that pinkish pigment as I can. Ta-da. And then I'm going to take the shade Mardi Gras from Uoma, which is like this very pretty kind of shimmery purple. And I think that this will be a nice kind of counterbalance to this pink. And what I want to do is focus on the inner corner on the bottom. And I feel like that'll balance out the intensity of that wing really nicely. Okay, cool. I love this. So now I'm going to take my brow pen and fix my brows. Absolutely love this pen so much. Let me see, I'm just going to use my hands and just kind of pull them up a little bit. And I want to keep them really feathery today. I kind of talked about this in my last video, but the Merit looks so pretty on the brows. Like, look how fluffy it makes them. It just doesn't hold and stay up like that. Like, that's what I really love about a brow product. So I'm really just trying to use this product up right now because it's just not my favorite. And I don't really want to be wasteful and just chuck it either. It's kind of the same with the Rare Concealer, right? Like, I try to find ways to use products that I don't necessarily love and just make it work. Because I really just don't love tossing products. It feels bad and wrong. There eventually will come a day where I'll declutter it out if I haven't completely used it up. But, I mean, it looks so pretty initially. I just wish that they stayed up. Okay. Need a little mascara. I'm going to go pretty light with it today because I don't want it to completely cover up the eye look. So I'm going to take the Victoria Beckham Future Lash. This is a really nice mascara too, especially if you're using any type of cream products on your eyes because it's a tubing formula. So it's not going to break down as easily or as quickly as a regular mascara. And you know what? I actually forgot I wanted to do something because I never do this. I never curl my eyelashes anymore because they oftentimes will like stand straight up. So I'm going to just very gently curl them for curiosity's sake. Normally it just makes them so like almost unruly, but I haven't curled them in a long time and I'm kind of curious like what it'll do for my overall look. So I just did a very, very soft, quick, light pinch. I didn't do it on there for a long time. All right, let's put this mascara on. Okay, and I just wanted to have like the most feather light touch with that because I really don't want to completely cover up the pink. And I need to dust off a little bit of the fallout that I had from my pink shadow. So I'm going to just take a little extra powder. And I kind of, when I do this, I kind of like, I try to use the bristles to almost like pick up powder that has fallen down. Okay. Now for lips, I'm debating. I'm going to use the new pencil from M.A.C, the Oak pencil that I got recently. I'm going to use some of the Prep and Prime from M.A.C also. That's what I love this pencil for, is that it's like, it doesn't compete if you have a really, really bright look on your eyes. And I don't know what I want to finish this off with. Hang on a second. Use two Fitglow lip serums. I'm going to use the shade Halo. It's like this really nice, kind of like suede brownish shade. And then I'm going to use the shade Bliss, which is like this really pretty champagne shimmer. And just dab that kind of in the center. Boom. There is today's look. I actually do want to add on a little bit more of that blush because I had kind of mentioned that I might do that. And I just want a little extra because I think it just is going to make, yeah, that's going to make everything pop a little bit more. I'm just going to use my fingers and kind of tap. Yeah, that's much better. Sometimes I do that where I wait till the very end to just kind of see what's that last little thing that you're gonna need to really make it all pop. And so I think today that was just a little extra blush because it doesn't compete with the color on the eyes, but it does kind of tie everything together. Anyway, I love how this turned out. It's just so fun and bright and spring, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps other people to find my channel and I can continue making this kind of content for you. I mentioned it in another video, but my goal is monetization, and I will be able to purchase products a little more freely and not have to worry so much about my budget. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day. Bye.